Welcome to Life Esteem, a program committed to delivering information that's important to you and your community.
Hello and welcome to Life Esteem again. Always great to have you as a viewer. Hey, today we're going to talk with Mr. Shaun Mullins. He's with the Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute, and also Mr. Michael Beck. He's with CMU, and also with Miss Marley, I think I said it right, Paxton, and she also is with the YWCA Greater Harrisburg, and you all give us your proper titles in a minute here. But thank you for coming on. This is a very important subject we're going to talk about today, and I know you're going to give us a lot of good clarification. Let's start with you, Mr. Mullins. Tell us all about your work that you do, and describe the program at the Psychiatric Institute of
Absolutely.
Pennsylvania.
So again, I am a program manager at Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute, and last year we were going to start doing this program to treat, first episode psychosis in the community in Dauphin County. So a little bit about the Capstone program. Really the goal of the Capstone program is to be able to provide a comprehensive treatment modality that includes individual therapy, family education, psychiatric services, prescribing practices. We have a psychiatrist. Also supportive employment services, peer specialists, and case management, all in kind of a one-stop shop. The program itself is made to help out young adults ages 16 to 26, specifically that live in Dauphin County, and who are experiencing their first episode of psychosis.
And Mr. Beck, I understand CMU offers peer support, is that correct?
That's correct. Okay. CMU offers peer support and case management component of the Capstone program that Shaun was referring to.
And what does that look like? What is peer support? How does that unfold?
Well, peer support basically is a service provided by a certified peer specialist who was brought on specifically for the program through the grant. And what they do is they're an individual who has recovered from their mental illness. So they can share that perspective of, living through their mental illness, experiencing recovery, and providing hope to the individuals that we're serving in the program.
Very good. I know another part of the program, we'll talk to Mrs. Paxton later about, supported employment and education services that they offer. And so she'll be coming on midway through the program here.
Let me ask a question to both of you gentlemen. In regard to psychosis. Now, is that psychosis explaining exactly, folks may not be understanding when we say psychosis, what are we talking about?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So in this case for our program, when we talk about psychosis, we're talking about, again, young adults who might be experiencing different visual or auditory hallucinations, maybe seeing or hearing things that don't necessarily exist, potentially maybe some paranoia attached to that as well, thinking people are talking about them or following them, when that might not be the case. For our Capstone program, when we're talking about diagnoses, we primarily are working with people who are diagnosed with schizophrenia, schizophreniform, or schizoaffective disorders.
So, for our viewing audience, give us some idea of how widespread this concern is in, let's say, the Tri-County area, or how far out does your services go? Is it just Dauphin County, or how many counties do you cover?
Well, for our program, for Capstone, we're focusing primarily on, Dauphin County.
Okay.
The program itself started out as a block grant, a federal block grant that Dauphin County was able to start this program with. And to answer the question as to how widespread, that as far as the infliction on a community, the reality is those numbers are kind of hard to tell, because a lot of people, because of the stigmas that are attached to psychosis, a lot of people experience these kind of symptoms, and they don't actually tell anybody about it. They just, you get to see aspects of your life start to, become more difficult, and nobody around them really knows what's going on. And I think that's one of the keys to this program, is to be able to bring a certain amount of awareness and education to the family systems. One of the things that I tell, families when they come to meet me for the individual the kind of meet and greet is that, a lot of people have those reference points for depression or anxiety, right? I mean, to some extent, anybody has experienced some form of anxiety, some form of depression, you know what I mean? But not everybody has a reference point for psychosis. So it's a lot harder to wrap your head around what it actually means. And I think that that's one of the aspects of this program that could be really helpful for those clients and families who are going through their first episode.
Sure.
But they would have to come through the case management unit to be referred?
Not necessarily, no. There
yeah.
can be multiple referral sources.
All right.
It could be from the case management unit, sure, it could be a case manager, but it could also be somebody who has experienced an inpatient hospitalization and is on an inpatient unit, potentially at PPI or another inpatient hospital. That could be a referral to the program. It could be an outpatient provider that's seeing someone initially and thinking that they may be exhibiting these symptoms. So it can come from a variety of referral sources. It doesn't have to come from the CMU or the other members of the Capstone team here in Dauphin County.
And to add on to what Mike was saying, it can also come from a person or a family member too.
Okay.
Like if you're in a family, if you're a mother, father, or even a client, you know, but somebody who's 16 to 26 years old, and these are things that you know of that exist. These are some symptoms that you know that can exist. We take self-referrals as well.
We do. Okay.
Absolutely. So it doesn't have to go through like a specific
agency.
channel or an agency.
Why that age? 16 to 26, any particular reason?
Yeah, that's actually, research shows that that's typically the age group where the first onset of symptoms will happen.
Oh,
So 16 to 26 is that snapshot, that developmental stage where most people experience that first episodes of psychosis. So when everything was being developed, last year, that was the age range that was provided.
How often does case management will meet with an individual? How often does that happen?
Yeah, we provide blended case management for individuals in the Capstone program. And the answer to that is it depends. We can meet with somebody as much as we need to. Blended case management is individualized, person-centered. We may need to see somebody on a weekly basis. We may need to see them every other week. We may need to see them every day, especially when they're experiencing this first episode of psychosis. They need a lot of support in the community. So we're going to see them as often as we have to meet their needs and make sure that they're having that support in the community that they need.
Are the police officers, because they encounter a lot of our people who are going through these kinds of, and they can't always tell what this person's dealing with, and they may be a danger to themselves or others. So are the police officers trained? Do they know the symptoms or about your programs and how to refer someone? Because I know we've had a few incidents of people that we know who've had loved ones who got entangled with police at the wrong time, and the police didn't know what they were looking at, and they did what they thought was the best thing. But had they known, maybe we all thought, maybe you could have de-escalated this thing,
Yeah,
or whatever.
and I'm not too sure about the training that the police officers do go through in regards to this. But what I do know is, like coming on the show, like one of the biggest things that we're trying to do in the beginning, we just started taking referrals as early as March 1st. So this is we're up and running. We're getting a lot of referrals coming in pretty quickly, which is good. But like we were talking about earlier, the biggest piece is this awareness and being able to know that there is an option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To be able to know that there is an option that might be able to, maybe it's not the emergency room, maybe it's not an inpatient stay, maybe it is, but just to be able to have an alternative option, specifically with a group of individuals like case management and the Y and all of our treatment providers that are specifically trained to help with this specific population with this specific set of symptoms.
Yeah, okay. Good stuff.
So I could potentially refer someone if I
Absolutely.
thought that they could benefit in the services, and now I wasn't aware of this. Absolutely myself, this program.
Yep.
And I probably know some folks that could probably maybe benefit.
Yeah, really.
Okay.
Yeah, we really
from
do.
this.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so now the certified specialists, tell us a little bit more about them and how did they come to you to be trained and all that?
Well, like I said, that's an individual who has experienced their own mental illness in their life, and they do go through a certification process where they become a certified peer specialist. What they do is they really work with the individual in an aspect that's different than the clinical component that's provided by Shaun, the employment component provided by the YWCA, and the case management. I mentioned the hope that they can provide the individuals. And I think that's really important when you have people in this first episode, or any mental illness for that matter, to see that there is life beyond the illness. They are more than their illness. They are an individual who can contribute and do great things in our community. And the certified peer specialist allows that perspective to be showed to the team, which I think is a very important component to it.
Are they more likely to go into the home of the person?
Yes.
Go anywhere in the community with them?
Yes, peer specialists and case management for that matter are meant to be delivered as an outreach service.
Okay.
So they will maybe help them get over some of the anxieties they have about going into public, about being in the community. So they can certainly, we want them delivering it in the homes, in the communities where the individuals we serve live.
Okay.
And one of the things that I have found, in the first month and a half that we've been up and running, that the peer specialist has been, very helpful with is not only the quality services that he provides to the clients, but they're also able to bring a first-hand perspective to our treatment groups as well. Okay. So when we all get together to make sure that we're on the same page, they're able to offer that kind of first-hand experience, and it just broadens the context when we're actually talking about how to properly help these individuals.
I mentioned before that Marla Paxton will be coming on to talk about what the YWCA, provides in just a few minutes here. But tell us a little bit more about this shared, what is it called here?
Decision-making.
The shared decision-making. Is this part of all? Okay, talk a little bit more about
it
that.
It is. So when I was talking earlier, when we talked about a comprehensive approach, the goal is that when clients and families come to us, especially when we're talking about first episode psychosis, they're in a period of their lives which is, it's very stressful. And I think that one of the things that is able to help us, kind of ease some of that stress is to reiterate time and time again that we work at your pace. We have a litany of services that are available to you, but how we implement those services, how frequently we see you, all of that is based on the needs of the client and the needs of the family. The shared decision making takes it one step farther, which is all of our treatment goals, they're not prescriptive. It's not you're going to sit in front of a panel of professionals and we're going to tell you what you need to do in order to get better. It's a collaborative approach where it's an open conversation starting in the first month to be able to really level with the families and with the client to say, what is it that's realistic for you? What is it that you want? You tell us your goals and we'll help you reach those. And that's really what's meant by this by shared decision making, is it's really meant to really focus on that collaborative treatment agreement between the client and the client's family and all of the providers that are involved in the Capstone program.
Very good. Well, Mr. Beck, I know we're going to be losing you in a minute here, so I want to give you the last word in terms of some of the work that you guys do for this process.
Great. Yeah, basically, we are partners with the other agencies involved in this, and really the case managers support the things that maybe the clinicians aren't seeing when they're seeing them, for the treatment component, or maybe that the supported employment specialists aren't seeing while they're doing that. They can provide all those other supports that are needed in the community to make individuals housing, whether those be, that can really be anything. It can be making sure they're maintaining their benefits so they can receive treatment. It can be making sure that they have stable housing and things like that, that those are not components that they need to worry about, and help support the treatment as a whole and as that comprehensive team that Shaun was talking about. And the same with the peer specialist, providing that other component to it as well then, and just reinforcing all the things that we're trying to do and provide the most support that we can in the community for the individual to make them successful.
How does one might become a peer specialist?
Yeah.
Have you identified people, or do they?
It has to be somebody obviously that has a mental illness, and then there is a certification process that they can go through. There is actually also some scholarship opportunities through various agencies that they can apply for, but they need to get certified in that 2-week class that occurs occasionally, and it's offered at various places around the state.
Are they volunteers, or are they actually paid
No, these
staff?
are paid staff.
Okay.
They're paid staff. We view them and peer support as an important component of the mental health system. So we value them just like we would any other staff. So they are paid employees of the CMU.
Fantastic, good stuff. Well, this is exciting. It's good for for our community to know that this exists, because there are a lot of families that when they're confronted with this, they're kind of like at their wits' end. They don't know where to turn to.
Absolutely.
Even though the information's out there, this and that, they just don't know. And got to ask real quick, what role does the churches play in all this? I mean, are the churches involved, and do they know, and are they using your services?
Well, I can certainly speak from the case management and peer support component, part of recovery is being holistic, and that does include an individual's faith and their beliefs. So we would certainly encourage that involvement if it's something that the individual finds important to them and feels that will support them in their recovery journey. So we do take that holistic approach, and we'll utilize churches if that's something that is a support to the individual.
Fantastic, good stuff. Yeah.
Very good.
So we're going to bring in, Ms. Paxton and switch up with Mr. Beck. Mr. Thank you so much for
you
being
very
on.
much.
Yes,
Thank
indeed.
you.
Okay,
Thanks, Mike.
Yes, indeed. This is all right.
Shaun,
Welcome.
Shaun, I would like to also thank Ruth Moore,
Oh,
who
absolutely.
actually was the one that shared and said that she thought this would be beneficial to have this information available in the community.
Yeah.
And then I didn't know how new this was, that they were kicking this off. And you were just in March,
Yeah.
you started this process.
The planning's been happening for a while, but as far as like actually receiving and referrals and providing treatment, just since March 1st, and we're already at about 20% of our capacity. So
Right.
people are coming in. Like you guys said, it's a need. It's there. Just in the past, there wasn't exactly a clear-cut path on how to receive treatment, and I think this kind of fills that void a little bit.
Well, we're glad to have Marla Paxton, I hope I'm saying it right, and she is Director of Employment Services, is that correct, at the YWCA?
Yes, of Supported Employment
Supported
Services.
Employment Services. Tell us what that is.
So our Supported Employment Program at the YWCA helps individuals with mental illness find competitive employment. So those are jobs that are not set aside for individuals who have disabilities.
Real good. And that's often a very difficult job, I'd imagine, to find them employment because of their disability. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, but most of the time we have employment specialists on staff who works with these individuals and tries to figure out what their interests are. We do assessments, and through that we're able to find out what their interests are, and we're able to help them find the employment that best fits their needs and wants.
Now, how did they come get to you? I know you have a number of programs at the YWCA.
Yes.
So can I refer someone to you?
So currently our individuals through the Capstone program are referred through CMU. So they
Okay.
have to be referred
All right.
through their case manager.
Okay, to the case manager.
Yes.
Okay.
Oftentimes, isn't it true that people bring multiple issues to the table, not just that one issue you can work on, but a lot of stuff? And how difficult is that then when, and by the way, do you have a number of employers out there who understand the Capstone program and are willing to work with you?
Yes, so with the employers, what we do is once an individual express what their interests are, we try to make those connections with employers and with enrollment counselors at colleges that best fit this individual's needs. And as far as the multitude of issues that these individuals come with, that's why we have the team, the Capstone team. So where we deal with employment and education, we have the individuals at PPI who deal with the clinical aspect, and then CMU with the case management with other barriers regarding housing and those types of issues.
Yeah, powerful. Good stuff, good stuff. So when you look at the types of employment and schooling that you are getting for your clients, what do you generally focus on? I mean, what's biggest employment area, I guess, is the question, and also the education that they receive. What kind of things that do they normally get from your agency?
So everybody's different. We have individuals who want to come in and be in like the medical field or the healthcare field, customer service. So again, it's all based on the consumer and their preference when it comes to employment, and in schooling as well. So a lot of, obviously, a big school in this area is Harrisburg Community College.
Yes.
So a lot of individuals come to us wanting to enter into college or some type of certificate program. So they're like a large resource for us when trying to get them enrolled.
Now, are you at the Y able to, because you also have clients that you work with, especially ladies or mothers and, families in transition in a lot of
Yes.
instances. Are you able to refer them to the Capstone program? And potentially being able to be available those services to them?
Yes, if like one of the ladies
Yeah.
from one of our programs would, exhibit those symptoms,
Yes.
then we could make a referral to the Capstone program.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Shaun,
And I can speak from
please.
Yeah.
I can speak from the current clients that we have. There has been a lot of excitement on the supportive employment and education
is it?
piece. There is. like I said, there's a lot of stigma attached to any of those diagnoses and any of those symptomologies. And I think the idea that you can still have employment goals, you can still have education goals, and that Marley and her team can be effective in being able to help you reach those goals. I know specifically for the current clients that we do have, has been a real breath of fresh air and instilling that hope in those family systems.
If you had to sum it up in just a few words, Shaun, what is the biggest benefit to community of the Capstone program?
I think it's providing an option.
Okay.
I think it's providing an option, and it is a platform to help destigmatize a lot of the symptoms that people are going through. I think the way that Dauphin County and the Capstone team has decided to approach this treatment through community partnerships, right? I think that is kind of what sets us apart from some of the other programs. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Marley and the Y are already good at what they do with supportive employment education. Mike and his team are already good at peer support in CMU, and Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute already is good at doing the treatment portion. So rather trying to reinvent the wheel, we really try to play to everybody's strengths. And I think that that's a real parallel process with the way that we approach our families as well, where we want to be able to promote those strengths that naturally exist and promote those family relationships. And I think any time that you can connect a family or a client in need with natural supports, I think it's an immediate benefit to the community.
How about that? Yeah, good
What
stuff.
about co-occurring disorders?
Yeah, so
How are you working in that way?
the way that this plays out with both so when we had talked about the different treatment modalities in the beginning, we had said that there is an individual component, but there's also a family education component.
Okay.
So within each of those treatment aspects, there are modules that go towards any kind of co-occurring disorder. So if there is a drug and alcohol piece that's attached to that. So the goal of that is really to be able to tailor make the treatment to be specific to the clients themselves. Somebody who's coming to us with a co-occurring disorder should receive a more nuanced treatment than somebody who is not. And we have those options available, and all of our staff of licensed clinicians are trained to be able to go in that direction. Yeah.
Marley, when you look at the work you're doing and the challenges that they present, what is the one thing that you would like the community to know that is a difficult piece? I mean, and we just need to know so we can be more supportive to the work that you do.
Well, our individuals are in recovery. They're on a road to recovery, and they are able to hold these roles in society, whether it's their role as an employee, a business owner, or a student. So they have these meaningful roles, and it gives them a sense of pride, once they're back in these roles. So it's important for them to continue on their road of recovery and know that they have these supports with us, and for individuals in the community to understand that they have these supports. So they're not out there by themselves. They have all these supports built in to help them.
And when you mention recovery, are we only talking about substance abuse recovery, or how broadly used is that word recovery? What are we talking about? Just drug and alcohol, or are we talking about other things that might be?
Well, mental health recovery.
Okay, yeah. Because I think and that's why I wanted you to say that. Because I think a lot of times people hear recovery and they're just thinking, there's drugs and alcohol, that's it. But no, there's a mental health recovery.
Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. And when we some of the language is paralleled as well, because even when we're talking about any kind of psychotic episodes or psychotic experiences or symptoms, built into our treatment modalities, you'll hear the words relapse prevention.
Yes.
Right. And if I said that to most people, they would immediately think about that drug and alcohol piece. But when we talk about relapse prevention, what we're talking about is any symptom that may or may not come back into in the future. So a lot of these things, like some of these diagnoses, somebody may experience some of those symptoms later on in life, and really what we're working to is to create a platform and to create a support system or a scaffolding so that if these symptoms do occur again, that the proper support's in place so it doesn't end up in somebody bottoming out.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
So just for the viewing audience to be aware, if they want to get involved or have a family member or someone they like to refer, can you share how they need to go about that process? What do they need to do?
Absolutely. So I know Mike and Marley had spoken about how they already, if they're already open with some of these, some of our partnering agencies, that you can obviously talk to them. They're well versed in how to get you connected with those services. We also have a centralized admissions at Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute.
Okay.
So there's a phone number. It's 782-6493. That will put you through 24 hours a day to our central admissions, and that department is trained to be able to ask you the proper questions to be able to get you connected. The one thing I do want to stress is that when we're talking about initial referrals, right, our goal isn't to overwhelm families that are already going through a tough time, right? So traditional, for anybody who's been in mental health services, it's no secret that a lot of times your initial intake, there's a bunch of paperwork. I mean, come on. So we really wanted to be able to do something a little bit different, and the model that we use is a little bit different. So the first meeting that we have is very informal, and it's structured more like a Q&A with myself.
Oh, okay.
So they would be able to schedule with me. The family or the client would come into my office, and we would sit down. I would be able to talk to them a little bit about what they can expect from the program in a little bit more detail. I can answer any questions that they ask about it, and then they have some time to think about it. And then once that they make that decision, either yes or no, at least it's an informed decision, and whichever way that they go, if they say yes, then we set up the actual intake, which I'm not going to lie, has that paperwork. But the very first meeting is very informal, it's very relaxed, and it's more informational and a Q&A session, just so that whatever choice that family or client decides to make, that it's an informed decision.
Very good, very good. So, along the way, you have CMU, you have the WCA, you have the Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute. So, must the client have insurance? Or can they come to you and they really don't have insurance? Can they still get services?
So currently, right, we treat any client coming into Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute the same way that we would, an outpatient client. So we do take insurances, but there's also financial assistance that's available for those that do not, and that all gets handled through our business department. So, but that would be something that we can cross once somebody is able to come in.
Okay, real good. Well, I know we quickly run out of time. It seems to go so fast, right? But give us some contact information of all three organizations.
Absolutely. So, like I said, if they were going to be making a referral, the central admissions would be 782-6493. You can also find more information about Capstone online at www.ppimhs.org. Once you would log on to that, there's an entire section that says new programs, Capstone, so it's kind of hard to miss. And a lot of the nuanced portions of this program is highlighted on that.
And real quickly, the YWCA?
For the YWCA supported employment information, you can find it at www.ywcahbg.org, or you can contact us at 717-234-7931.
Okay, and I know we're going to miss you, CMU, but everyone knows what CMU is. But we're going to get down to you too. We've quickly run out of time. I want to thank you so much for watching this program. Please support those in our community that need the help, and that's mostly all of us. And we'll see you next time here on Life Esteem. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.